As a person who frequents the internet, sadly, it doesn't go unfounded on me that there are people out there who hate Attack on Titan's ending. Granted, it's not really a huge majority of people, but since I recently just got done reading it, I've been thinking about it myself. Is Attack on Titan's ending bad? Well, today we are going to once and for all settle the debate that probably will not be settled by this video. Is Attack on Titan's ending bad? As well, if you get offended about something in this video, realize this is just an opinion, so let's have a civil discussion in the comments below and have some fun. Let's go.
Well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
The first criticism I largely see from people that AOT's ending is bad is one topic I've actually discussed a little bit in my reaction video to chapter 139, and that's the idea that Eren didn't go far enough in his genocide. Now, I think this statement at face value is disingenuous, and looking into it further, I'm not even sure how one could come up with this criticism. If we reference some of the dialogue in the manga, you would know that 80% of the human race and most likely all life on the planet was wiped out by the rumbling. If we are to do the math and use, just as an example, the same population numbers on Earth right now, which is 7 billion, that means Eren wiped out nearly 6 billion people off the face of the planet. To compare that to the Holocaust, one of the most awful events in human history, that saw 5 million people being wiped out. That's a huge number in comparison for comparison's sake. You have to consider that even if Eren killed one innocent person, that he's gone too far. Genocide is genocide, and just because in our human history we have the Holocaust, doesn't mean, say, the Armenian genocide were small fry in comparison. If you're doing the act of genocide and achieving that effect in some sort, you are immediately going too far, no matter the number of people being killed. This makes Eren Yeager an irredeemable person, no matter if his intentions were for good. I'm sure many crazy people throughout history thought genocide is probably a good idea too, but we also don't consider those people functioning people in the same way you and I are. Another criticism leveled against the ending is that Eren didn't achieve his goals. Well, he did. His goal from the very beginning was to get revenge against the Titans and exterminate them, which he did. Many people argue that he failed because he didn't exterminate all of the human race or stop all wars, as evident in the final chapters when we see people continue to war and repeat cycles. Well, that's just not the goal of Eren Yeager. He didn't want to stop all wars and conflicts. The point of Attack on Titan's story is that conflict never stops happening. There will always be people who clash and fight over what they think is wrong or right. If this were the case, Eren would have said he wanted to stop all warring and arguments. But if that were the case, then Eren's character would be a colossal dumbass, as that's an unachievable goal. It's in our human nature to argue. Look at what we're doing here today. I'm arguing over why I think AOT's ending is not bad because some people think it is. But the reality is that you can't expect Eren's goals and Paradis's goals were to simply solve all human conflict of any kind until the end of time. The saying is that history repeats itself every 100 years. Well, that's 100% the truth. We can see that today. I mean, I'm sure you've been recommended that video on YouTube comparing Abraham Lincoln and JFK's similarities. There is also a reason why I used in my 139 reaction video the quote from the Fallout series, "War never changes." Because it never does, and war is symbolic and a metaphor for the human condition never ceasing to do so. For Eren to stop all conflict, he'd have to rewire the way the human brain basically works. Because the conflict of the series is the Titans, and it's about getting rid of them. Hence the name Attack on Titan. Then we have the whole Eren and Mikasa thing. The main criticism for this one is that Eren didn't love Mikasa, and it doesn't make sense for Eren to love her. And that to me doesn't make sense, because if we go back to many moments throughout the series and or manga, we see plenty of times where Eren cares for Mikasa. Sure, I mean, he never explicitly says he loves her, but that would as well resolve a lot of tension between those two characters if he came right out and said he loved her in episode 10 or whatever. Also, you have to consider AOT really isn't a romance anime, and the fact of the matter is that Eren's actions throughout the series show, whether it be when Eren makes a vow to protect Mikasa or wrap a scarf around her, that yeah, it makes sense completely. why Eren would love her. The biggest criticism against this is when Eren tells Mikasa he always hated her, but Eren did what he had to do in order for them to win, and if that meant telling Mikasa and Armin he hated them, then so be it. At the end of the day, it was all an act. The ends justify the means, because as we know in the last chapters that if Mikasa and Eren ran away together, everything would have crumbled. In other words, their relationship was doomed from the start. They could have never been together, but that doesn't mean Eren couldn't have ever loved Mikasa. And another thing, I also see a lot of people calling Eren a simp for Mikasa. Listen, y'all need to find some better criticism if that's all you can say about it. Simp is a slang term, it's not a valid form of criticism. To boil down a character as complex as Eren Yeager to simply, "Oh, he's a simp," is short-sighted and wrong. You can't use catch-all terms for something that's not a black and white situation. We spent the whole series displaying the morally gray sides of war and how people can be both good and bad at the same time. Imagine boiling down historical figures to just them being simps or boomers or whatever the hot phrase is that year. You have no idea how many times I've seen this thrown around with Eren, and it's just a tad bit silly and a tad bit ridiculous. Then there is the whole Reiner thing, where Reiner's character is just seemingly cured of all of his depression and suicide from sniffing a letter. Well, that's the criticism of this ending, and this is once again a disingenuous, but also one of those missing the forest for the trees sort of thing. Reiner's issues resolving has nothing to do with the letter at all. The panel is what we call comedy, and illustrates how Reiner has gone back to his ways when he was in the Survey Corps initially. This really means nothing in the grand scheme of his character's closing arc at all, because at this point, his arc was already finished. Reiner spent the whole final arc of Attack on Titan essentially going through hell with soul searching to the point where he almost committed suicide, had split personality disorder, and even begged on his hands and knees for Eren to forgive him. Then in the final chapters, Reiner would go on to reconnect with his old pals in the Survey Corps to acknowledge all of his past deeds that were considered heinous, hurtful, and irredeemable. He apologized to Annie. He apologized to Armin. You get the point. He spent the last however many chapters going through hell to redeem his character. And the final redemption for his character was guarding everyone against the big tentacle monster thingy. Then after that, he reconvenes with his family, where his mother apologizes for the way he raised him. It's not sniffing a letter. That's just ridiculous and shows that there is a fundamental misunderstanding from the person reading, not the actual content itself. I put out a community tab post asking people what they'd like me to talk about in this video, and Hector Rodriguez made a great comment basically saying that the people with the issue are what the AOT fandom calls Jaegerists. That's not the first time I've heard this name before in reference to this group of people hating the ending. This group of people believe that Eren should have essentially wiped out all of humanity outside of Paradis. Now, I have no issues with this or any group of people that want to have this as the ending, but I do think this is rather telling that this group of people are the loudest 1% minority making the most noise. In reality, I guarantee you that AOT's ending is largely enjoyed by the majority of folks. And this really gets into the minutia of fandoms, where you're in a 1% hardcore group, you see things differently. You are analyzing the minutia of every panel. You are going back, rereading and analyzing over and over and over. And let me tell you right now, there is nothing wrong with that. But what that does create sometimes is people who overanalyze and overreact to things and claim in the moment they're bad because it's something they've tried to predict for months and it just didn't turn out to be correct. Humans do not like to be wrong. That's just the way we are. Usually it takes time and self-reflection for us to change our opinions. And honestly, I do believe that people genuinely do not like this ending or have actual valid issues with it. And if you hate it, then whatever, that's you. I have no right to tell you what to think or feel. But I also believe that a lot of the noise out there is coming from plenty of disingenuous people that expected the ending to be exactly their way, and when that didn't happen, they decided to complain, trying to stir something up and attacking others. Which, by the way, for those people that are giving out death threats because of this ending, fuck you and fuck off. That's wrong, you shouldn't do that. And if you have done that, you are not welcome in my community. For myself though, I think Attack on Titan's ending is good, if a bit rushed, and to me that's really the worst crime this ending commits. And I can't lie though, I just do not get when people say this ending is bad. Attack on Titan's ending delivers on nearly every aspect it set out to achieve, if not going above and beyond to deliver to us this pretty awesome and memorable story altogether. Obviously, it's up to you guys to decide if you like the ending or not, but I hope this video proved one thing, and that this ending is not bad. At least for the reasons people are claiming it to be in the AOT fandom, or at least some sects of it. So, tell me, did you like the ending? Did you hate it? Did you disagree with what I said? Put down your responses in the comments below. I would love to hear them. As well, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Bye-bye.